Okay, so for this video I thought I'd have a discussion, and my discussion's on the Celestials. Now, I made a few videos of the Celestials. You can check them out. I made like a tribute type thing to the Celestials, pretty badass pictures, artwork, and then I made a video on the Marvel and DC versus the entire Celestial race. Now that one's a pretty interesting battle. I'll talk about it for a second. I put a team together and talk about if they can take down the entire Celestial race. Now, Celestials are probably some of the, if not the most powerful race in Marvel. They are 2,000 feet tall. They are, on average, just your basic average Celestial is probably just under Galactus in power. And there are billions and billions and billions, if not trillions, but I know they're in the billions. They are powerful. They don't exactly have an origin. It's in some comics they've said that they've helped like forge the multiverse with their will, and in other comics they've been there since the beginning of the universe. But so they really don't have a true origin. But like and so it's kind of hard to say where they're from. I kind of like it. They don't have an origin. They're mysterious, and I kind of like it like that. I hope they don't give them an origin. They're badass and mysterious. And let's talk about like just on average. Let's talk about intelligence. They are extremely intelligent, just extremely. They are probably Galactus level intelligence, and Galactus is one of the smartest beings in the universe also. And also because they're definitely intelligent, because they all created suits that can contain them, and they derive basically from hyperspace, and they encase themselves in a just metalish looking suit. In an alternate reality, they're comprised of vibranium. I'm not sure if it's in Earth 616. I'm not sure if it's vibranium also. All I know it's just they're virtually indestructible. Like the Celestials have said, you can't actually kill a Celestial. You can only put it to sleep. It's pretty beast. Because if you destroy it, they can come back. It just takes a long time to make new armor and all that. And so let's talk about the fourth host. The fourth host were basically the first Celestials to appear. Arishem the Judge and the host were basically the first to appear in the original Eternals comics back in the 70s. And they are just two beasts. I mean, each one's have their own powers. They all have their own, like Nizar the Tester, Gammonon the Gatherer. He gathers like all the species on that planet. Esan the Searcher, Oneg the Prober. They all, their task name is basically in their name along with their actual name. Then of course Arishem the Judge. At the end, if it's deemed worthy, he gives it a thumbs up. If not, he gives it a thumbs down, and Exitar the Exterminator comes in and wipes the planet clean, and they start over. And Exitar is basically a 20,000 foot tall Celestial who is supposedly more powerful than the entire host combined. And that's pretty powerful. I mean, realistically, almost no one should be able to stop him. You need an insanely high tier cosmic being to put him down realistically. And the fourth host Celestials, they're not your average Celestials. They are high up in the Celestial ranks. Arishem the Judge is one of the most powerful Celestials. I mean, during Thor number 300, Odin, Zeus, and I forget the other guy's name. It starts with a V. But he is also a Skyfather level on Zeus and Odin's level, and they all attacked Arishem the Judge, and it did absolutely nothing. And you got to take note, these three, they're Odin's a galaxy buster, so these guys are galaxy busters, and it did absolutely nothing to Arishem. He did not give a shit whatsoever, and he just from doing that, he actually was able, if he wanted to, was to cut them off from Earth from their Olympus, Asgard, or wherever else forever if you wanted to. You know, if you didn't interfere. But then, you know, Odin and everyone, they could not let that happen, so he brings out the Destroyer armor. Every living soul of Asgard went into the Destroyer armor, excluding Thor. He was not there. And Odin went inside. He became 2,000 feet tall, just as big as a Celestial. Then of course, you had more other gods in the Unimind with Zeus. And they went to confront the Celestials. And as soon as they got there, the Unimind just got destroyed. I mean, it stood no chance. He got hit twice by two of the Celestials at the same time, and it was just demolished. And then, of course, you got the Destroyer. The Destroyer lost horribly. It was just a horrible massacre. I mean, he cut off Nazar, the Calculator's arm, and it grew back instantaneously, showing their durability. They cannot basically lose limbs. They can just grow back instantly. Then, of course, they got the Destroyer armor got destroyed. Odin dies. Thor comes in. I personally thought he did better against the Celestials than Odin did, sadly. And he threw his hammer, and for the first time in eons, Arishem the Judge was toppled, like I said in the comics. Then he picked up the frickin' huge-ass Odin sword, rammed it right through Arishem's chest. Then he took the Odin sword out of his chest like it was absolutely nothing and melted it. And the Odin sword is supposed to be, what, indestructible? Yeah. Then Thor got his ass kicked, and then Gia, I think that's her name, came in, offered her children or some gods or whatever, and took them as a tribute, and the Celestials left. I mean, the Celestials are, I mean, depending on which reality or whatever. I mean, there's an alternate reality where the whole universe is ruled by Celestials. I mean, that could probably happen in probably any reality. In one then of course there's the Council of Reeds. They all had like Infinity Gauntlets, and I forget, there was like 3 or 4 of them, and they were freaking fighting Celestials. And you know, the Celestials are so beast. And on my video on the entire my Marvel and DC versus the Celestial race, I personally think the Celestial race would kick the crap out of that team I composed. I should have added more, but I didn't. I personally, I don't feel like even if I added more, I don't think it'd make a difference. I mean, if I added 100 more cosmic beings to the Marvel and DC side, I don't think it would even matter. Here's why. Sure, eternity is, you know, the embodiment of the universe and all that. It's all reality. But, you know, he still can be destroyed. You can fight him. And you just got to have someone stronger than you are. You know? And so if the Celestials, and billions and billions and billions and billions of numbers that they are, got to take, just say all the cosmic beings I added to that list. If there was, you know, 100 of them, each one are going to be fighting millions and millions and millions at once, and I don't see them winning at all. I mean, I could see the Anti-Monitor from the Crisis on Infinite Earths taking down a bunch, but I don't see him winning at all. I honestly feel that the Celestial race can slaughter almost anybody that comes in their path. The Celestial race would be too much for almost anybody. I mean, if it was Molecule Man from Secret Wars, he'd probably kick the crap out of all of them. The original pre-Recon Beyonder would probably... He actually did fight the Celestials, I don't know how many, but he fought a whole bunch back in the Secret Wars and kicked the crap out of them, depending on what versions of you were doing. But, you know, we're not using... I mean, if I put the Living Tribunal in there, you know, the Living Tribunal can just probably wave his hand and they all die, basically. But, you know, that's kind of unfair using the Living Tribunal. I wanted to use Eternity level beings, Galactus, Abraxas, all those, Marvel and DC also. But, you know, I personally think, you know, the Celestial race is just so insanely overpowered. I mean, during the Infinity Gauntlets, remember, the One Above All, Celestial, and Xeron were there. Out of those two, they're the only ones that actually didn't attack. They threw planets at Thanos as their attack. It's pretty badass. But the Celestials are just really... they're probably some of my favorite comic book characters. Arishem is in my top list as my favorite. They're badass. They look cool, I personally think. And if you haven't seen my video on the Marvel Celestial Race, you should check it out. I think it's interesting. Got a lot of comments on that. I personally think, I think the Celestial Race would slaughter the team, unfortunately. Maybe I'll make another one and add more people. I don't know. I'm not sure, but comment, subscribe, like, and see you later.